My name is Mark Binder. I live on the corner of Fisher and Morris. This question is actually for both of you. It's two-parter. So, what is your position on the Providence water supply, and will you ensure that it remains owned by the city?
Start with Rebecca.
Thank you. Our water is high quality. It tastes good. It is a good cost. Our water source must be maintained. I think our city does a good job running our water. I also think that I am okay having conversations. I think we need to have a lot more community conversations about whether the city of Providence is the right government entity to be running water for 60% of the state, or whether we should have another maybe statewide agency to run the water for 60% of the state. I will never support selling our water to a private entity that will derive profit out of our public good of water. That's the red line for me. Our water should be run by an entity that is accountable to the water, that is looking at the water as a public good, that is accountable to the public, that looks at our water as a public good. So those are my kind of guiding principles when thinking about the conversation about our water. And I imagine there's going to be a separate conversation about the pension, which of course the pension crisis is one of the things that drives the conversation about the water. I am concerned that if we do end up with a receiver, that the receiver could sell our water at a fire sale. And I don't think this is a serious and imminent danger right now, but it's one of the reasons why I'm willing to have conversations. We need to have larger, longer, not sound-bitey conversations about our water.
Mark, before you answer the good question from Mark, let's be clear. Mary Lorza is not proposing selling the water supply, right? And so the question for you is, do you support Providence's effort to monetize the water supply via potentially some sort of lease deal?
Yeah, thanks, Dan, and thank you, Mark, for the question. It's a really important issue. So I specifically believe that we, first of all, can't sell the water system into private hands, so that's where I agree with my opponent. One nuance that might be different is I believe that we have to get the Public Utilities Commission to change their rules about what Providence can charge for its water to cities and towns outside of Providence. We're forced to sell our water at wholesale prices. And then those cities and towns are able to mark up our water, okay, I'll use that word, because we are legally responsible for this water. Let that be clear. So if there was a problem, it would come back to Providence. And they're allowed to make budgetary gains off of charging more for the water. So I don't think cities and towns should pay less than Providence ratepayers. And if we can take that first step, and that's one of the things, I want to do this job full time, I think we need better coordination of the Providence representation, because we do have a lot of votes. If we can work together on this issue, and we can create a new revenue stream for the city of Providence, which is desperately needed. And by doing so, we would also increase the value of the asset. Now, I think it would be very interesting at that point to consider, as there was an excellent paper from the City Council on how to address the pension problem. I recommend you all read it. Sam and Nervo were both big parts of it. But I think everyone has to sacrifice, and I think that if we had that change and had that revenue stream, we could consider actually putting Providence Water as an asset of the pension, which I can talk about more, but would have a dramatic potential financial impact, but would retain ownership by the city, and so that we can maintain the quality and the rates that we're used to paying.
So just to follow up on the pension question, then we'll get on to affordable housing after that, but one of the things that we see, we saw this year at the State House, the mayor puts in a bill to try to monetize water, and even the Providence delegation didn't have a lot of support for it. So Mark, you just talked a little bit about the need to work together with the city. Can you give one example of a bill that you'd like to push through that maybe Mayor Lorza has not been able to get through just yet?
Oh yeah, no, thanks for the question, Dan. As I said, I think we need to coordinate better. At some point, if you're from Jamestown, it's all about what you're bringing back to Jamestown, right? We've got a bunch of representatives from Providence. We should be working together to bring resources back to the city, changing the school funding formula so that Providence gets its fair share for things like English language learners. One of the things I'd like to see is there's actually a state bill that prevents us from having our own gun laws. We should have that repealed so that Providence can have an assault weapons ban. We could be a leader in that regard, right? But Dan's absolutely right. The legislative agenda from the city has reached Smith Hill and it's been dead on arrival. And that has to change, or we're not going to be able to get the things done that we need to get done with the pension crisis, with our schools, and with assault weapons, for example.
So Rebecca, gun school funding, what else? What do you think is a bill you'd like to work on with Mayor Lorza and try to get done at the State House?
I think that I agree that the delegation should be working for Providence together, and also that we need to work to make the whole State House, all the representatives and all the senators, understand that Providence is the heart of our city. It's our capital city. And we all need Providence to succeed. So we need to all work together. So I'm interested in bringing Providence delegation together. That should be the place to start, and then everybody to come up with solutions for our capital city. We also need to be able to not only preemption around the gun laws to repeal that preemption, we also need to be able to provide, to charge hotel taxes and parking taxes appropriately to be able to sustain our city. We can also need to look at taxing the nonprofits appropriately, and particularly the non-mission critical businesses run by the larger nonprofits. Providence, as we all know, has a lot of large nonprofit organizations that are tax exempt and pay pilot payments, but we need to make sure that those are equitable and consistent and reliable.